Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to get your image ready for the split print so you can take it into the darkroom. So first thing you're going to go ahead and do is you're just going to go ahead and open up your image. So I've got a color image right here, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to go to the crop tool, and we're first going to crop it to size. So 5:7, I suggest you keep the aspect ratio for this image the same as whatever paper you're going to be printing on. So let's say you wanted to do, we have 5:7, that's a standard photo paper size for the darkroom, as well as 8:10. So if you wanted to create this tile print method with some larger pieces of paper, 8:10 would be the aspect ratio that you would choose. Again, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth tool down, oopsie. Not that one. The fifth tool down, which is the crop tool right here. C is the keyboard shortcut. So either 8:10, a 4:5 ratio, or a 5:7. I'm going to go ahead and choose 5:7. If it really matters to you, let's say you have, this is more of a squarish image, or let's say you have an image that is a lot taller and chopping it off to 5:7, the aspect ratio just isn't looking good. You are always welcome to drag your crop tool outside of your image, and that will create like a little built-in buffer around there. So sometimes I do that for printing if it doesn't fit quite nicely into the, ooh, I don't know what happened here. My computer's going crazy. I'm gonna hit undo. Okay, let's try that one more time. All right, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and crop outside. Oh, I need to delete some things from my laptop, obviously. All right, I'll go ahead and hit enter. Oh, there we go. All right, it worked. So I will go ahead and slap a new layer on here. I will put it underneath the bird and edit fill. So you'll notice I do this sometimes if the map board doesn't quite fit the aspect ratio of your image. I fill it with white. You can also edit fill with black. So if I were going in the darkroom, I would probably give myself a black border, which is exactly what I did for the columns. Oh no, my computer's really glitching out. Well, it looked normal a moment ago. Hopefully it survives for this demo. All right, so go ahead and crop it. I'm actually just gonna crop inside my image. And again, hopefully my computer doesn't die. All right, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. All right, so I have it cropped to the aspect ratio of my paper. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this to black and white. So I'm gonna get my yin yang. I'm gonna go to the black and white filter. Okay, remember that you don't have to choose the default. So there's the default here. There's also some preset different combinations. You can use your arrow keys to go through, see what looks good for you. Some of them, might look really good, others not as good. Again, it depends what look you're going for. Let's say this is the one you want to use. You can also tweak these sliders. So you can just drag them around to see what they're doing. And when you're happy with it, great. Don't forget there is also the brightness contrast. You can do curves, level, exposure. All of those things are there. I'm actually going to show you now, once it's black and white, how to go ahead and take it over to Camera Raw. So I'm going to do Shift Control Alt E. And again, that is Shift Control Alt E to create a composite layer. Let me show that one more time. I go to the top of my layer stack, Shift Control Alt E. Useful shortcut, right click, and I'm going to say convert to smart object. And I like doing the smart object because when I use my Camera Raw filter, if I don't quite like it, I can go back and make adjustments. If you do not have a smart object, you can't go back and make further adjustments without hitting undo. All right, so again, to get to Camera Raw filter, I go to filter, Camera Raw filter. It's going to open up this dialog box, and I've got some great stuff in here. It's already black and white. If I want to play with the exposure, that's in here. I have got contrast as well. I can, let's say I need to make my the black portions of my image darker. I can drag this slider to the left. The best way to find out what these different sliders do, by the way, is to take them to their endpoints. Okay, you can see, oh, now all my blacks really became gray versus, ooh, I have a lot more black in my image. So this is how you can kind of see what's happening with your sliders. Drag them around and settle somewhere, usually in the middle. But I do like to bring them to the edges just to see like, oh, okay, that's what portion of the image it's impacting. All right, I really like the texture and the clarity sliders. Again, you don't want to go too crazy. I will go a little bit crazier for the demo just so you can see like what these are doing. You can see, wow, that clarity really brings things into focus. All right, and again, I'm going a little extra for the demo. There's a dehaze that can also be nice as well. Let's say you have some straight lines for my columns image. I used also the geometry if you need to like straighten up anything. If you have a horizon line that's a little crooked, you can go ahead and use these adjustments as well. When you're happy, hit OK. And because we made it a smart layer, smart object, I can always double click and get back in here. Whoops, sorry, double click. And you can see I can open it up. So let's say I, decided, no, you know what, that was a little bit too much texture there or clarity. I can go ahead and dial that back down. All right, once you're happy with it, the final step is to make it into a negative. I'm actually going to go ahead and save this just as a nice black and white image. I might want to use this for something else later. So I'm going to go ahead and first say File, Save As. I'm going to choose Photoshop. So this is my bird photo. Maybe I'm going to say black and white. I'm going to spell it correctly. There we go. And I have one copy of it just as a Photoshop if I want to go back and make any adjustments. And now I'm going to make it into a negative. So yin yang invert. Okay, and maybe I'd want to save this as a separate document as well. So maybe I'll say save as. And this is the same thing, but this is my negative. Or maybe I'll say digital negative. Okay, and now I'm ready to go ahead and do my split printing. All right, so to do the split print, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th tool down, I'm going to go ahead and grab the slice tool here, and this is how I'm going to divide my picture up. So I'm going to click, right click, and divide slice. And this is where I can choose how many pieces I want to divide it into. Let's say you wanted to do 2 pieces by 2 pieces. Like so. You could do 3 by 3. I would highly recommend that you keep these 2 numbers, whatever you choose. So don't do 4 by 3, do 4 by 4, because as you can see, if I were to choose 4 by 3, it's going to change the aspect ratio. This is no longer a 5 by 7. This is like kind of squarish. So I do need to keep them consistent. If I were to do this image, it would be, let's see, 4 by 4, so 16 pieces of paper, and that would be 5 inches for each of these, so 5, 10, 15, 20, by 7, 14, 21, 28. So this would be a 28 by 20 inch final image using 16 pieces of 5 by 7 paper. I'm going to go ahead and just stick with 9 pieces of darkroom paper. I'm going to do 3 by 3. I'll hit OK. And then the last thing we need to do is to export this. So I'm going to say File, Export, Save for Web. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and choose, make sure it's on JPEG. I like the quality to be at 100. I think by default it's somewhere around 60, so drag that up to 100. And then I'm going to hit Save. I'm going to go ahead and choose somewhere to save it. In this case, I'm going to put it on my desktop. And I'm going to save this, save. And now I just need to find that. So let's see, somewhere here on my desktop, I should have a folder that says images. And let's see, it might take me a moment to find this folder. Is it here? Okay, it somehow got in the same folder. That's okay. All right, these were my ones that I did earlier. I forgot to make it into a negative. I'm gonna go ahead and delete those. All right, so they're in a folder that says images. You can go ahead and highlight them all. You can see I have 1 through 9 different images. I'm gonna go ahead and select them all, and now I can send them to my printer. So I'm gonna right click, say print. For yours, by the way, there's one extra step. I think you have to say show more options, and then you will get the print dialog. Go ahead and choose 193. Yours looks a little bit different than mine in terms of the name. 5 by 7, we'll print 2 to a piece of paper to not waste paper. I'm going to go ahead and say options, printer properties. Make sure you choose tray 1. That's where the transparency paper is loaded into, tray 1. Then you can hit OK, so on and so forth, and it will print out all your 9 sections that you can then cut up and take into the darkroom to create your split print. I'm not actually going to print this, but you would go ahead and hit print and it would send it to the printer.